Ben-Gvir is in Amman in Jordan because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting from Israel. Zain, there are due to be ceasefire talks later this week, but we understand the National Security Minister has actually said Israel's participation in those is a serious mistake. So where does that leave these talks?
Well, that's exactly right. Israel has committed to sending a delegation once more to either Doha or Cairo in the next few days. We're expecting talks to begin once again on the 15th. But this comes at a time when Israel is being condemned by almost everyone they'll be sitting with at these talks. And they know that the actions they've taken with this strike that resulted in this massacre on Saturday and in the last 24 hours, they have themselves, the Israeli forces have said, they've continued to carry on a number of operations across Gaza will only harden the position of Hamas, make it almost impossible for Hamas to acquiesce to any of Israel's demands in the current climate. Now, in terms of what these talks are likely to mean, is Israel really sincere about negotiating some kind of ceasefire, about a settlement that could see Israeli captives brought back home? We have to look only to the National Security Minister Ben-Gvir's recent statements this morning on social media, in which he said that yes, this is a mistake and that Hamas must be crushed until they completely surrender. In the statement, he said that Hamas should continue to be crushed and stomped on its head until they completely surrender, that this summit must not be used as a way to stop the conflict in Gaza, that the transfer of humanitarian aid and fuel should be stopped until all abductees are returned home. And he also said that we must encourage immigration and occupy Gaza permanently in order to keep our hold on it. So these are very, very hawkish statements coming out of the National Security Minister and will only serve to harden the position with which mediators and Hamas come to these talks. So is it likely that they'll result in any sort of ceasefire or a prisoner exchange between Israel and Hamas forces and the Palestinians in Gaza? That seems very unlikely at this stage.
Okay, thanks so much, Zain. That's Zain Ben-Gvir for us in Amman, Jordan, because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting in Israel. Okay, we're going to go to Hani Mahmoud, who is in Khan Younis, where many people have been forced to move yet again. Can you just explain the ongoing impact of being displaced over and over again, Hani, and where are people meant to go at this point in time?
Tom, within the past 45 minutes, we've seen many of the cars or many of the carts pulled by animals arriving to this area. This is the last remaining, somehow empty, with a little bit of a space available at Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. And this is right at the northern western part of Khan Younis, at the edge of Deir al-Balah city, an area between these two cities, Deir al-Balah in the central area and here Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. But we've seen more people definitely coming from the area. That's the block number by 36. That's Hamad's residential complex where it is located, that has been targeted at earlier hours by air attacks, destroying 2 residential towers, pushing people, the residents of these towers, into further internal displacement. The Israeli military at earlier hours overnight issued these sharp orders for people to evacuate from the area. Now, having this happening at this particular moment and this particular location just further increased the shrinking the areas, the humanitarian zone that the Israeli military had described and designated for Palestinian displaced families for the past 10 months, which, by the way, hasn't been safe at all. It has been repeatedly attacked. People died and killed and maimed inside these humanitarian zones. They were talking about a short sliver of land at the western part of the central area, starting from Deir al-Balah city, passing through Khan Younis all the way to Rafah city. And now Rafah is out of the equation of a humanitarian zone. The only area available right now is at the western part of Deir al-Balah city and here in Khan Younis. But right now, Hamad residential towers and its vicinity has been in the red zone, in the red area. and just further shrink the area, the humanitarian zone for evacuation. We're expecting to see this space to be filled up very soon, and we're going to see it becoming overcrowded. But the impact of this limited resources, there is economic suffocation, there is family and social disintegration as people ended up finding a space at anywhere possible to stay in. It also causes more of the psychological trauma and feeds into one reality: permanent displacement, as some of these families have been displaced for the 8th time or the 10th time so far.
Yeah, Hani, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the school attack yesterday, which has been described as one of the worst since the war began. Can you just give us an idea of the scale of the devastation it's left behind?
Perhaps the worst elements of this attack has been the deepening of the sense of shattered safety right now. The people, displaced families inside evacuation zones and at the vicinity of all shelters in Gaza and the northern part are not safe. They are under repeated attacks all the time. And so this one thing that has been made sure for people, that they are not safe at all, and their shattered sense of safety has been deepened further by these attacks. What's really tragic that these evacuation zones are the only remaining space in Gaza and the northern part for people to go to who are struggling with the recurrent incursions in the eastern part of Gaza City, of the heavy bombardment campaign in the center part of Gaza and the western part of the city, all leaving their residential homes because of the ongoing threats, going to these shelters, seeking not only safety but also of whatever left, whatever available of food supplies, as there is ongoing enforced starvation going on in the northern part of the Strip. None of the commercial and none of the humanitarian aid truck here allowed to move into the northern part in Gaza. So there is ongoing enforced starvation going on. So people are seeking these evacuation centers because they are searching not only for safety and protection, but also ability to have access to food supplies and water supply, which, by the way, it's already depleted and limited to the only number available at these evacuation centers. But again, the tragedies keep unfolding of the number of casualties. The death toll is rising. The pressure that is put on the health facilities in Gaza is beyond imagination.
Hani, as always, we really do appreciate your reporting there from Gaza. Hani Mahmoud for us in Khan Younis.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.